From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great details about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today. A lot of breaking news on this morning's broadcast. We'll go over that monthly stimulus check and why the Democrats are likely to give you more months of checks. Then we go to the recon. Deal done. You're getting $3.5 trillion of checks in the fourth stimulus recon, and it's all really exciting, great news. I'll go over some of those checks you're getting, and then we go over the vote. There's a vote set for next week, and I'll go over what the vote is for and why there's another vote likely to come right before it. We'll also go over Plan B and whether there is a Plan B or actually a second Plan B. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, just raise your benefits up. This is what was President Biden promised you on the campaign trail, and it's finally happening. SSI, SSDI, and VA benefits are going up. Very exciting, great news. And then we cut to the big money across the board that viewers continue to get. And one viewer in the last 48 hours revealed to me she got $18,000 from this channel in rent. I have all the incredible great news. It's a big morning. It's a big day with a lot of exciting details. The toast is toasting. The butter is buttering. I'm here. You're here. Let's get to the details on Mornings LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you doing? I hope you're having a beautiful weekend. Boy, here we go. It got hot here. It got cool. It's cool at the moment, but this morning it was so humid here in Santa Monica. You would have literally thought it was Miami Beach. It was so insanely humid. Hopefully the weather's better where you are. Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. So much breaking news in this big morning's broadcast. We'll go over that monthly stimulus check and why you're likely to get more months of checks. Then, deal done. You're getting $3.5 trillion of checks. Did you hear that? $3.5 trillion of checks. Congratulations under the fourth stimulus recon. I'll go over some of those checks in this recording. Then we cut to the vote, the bills, the dates. There's actually potentially 2 votes next week, 1 confirmed, 1 bill, and potentially 2 bills, and also 1, if not 2 backup plans. I have all the breaking news in the final 15 of the final 7. It's perhaps the most jam-packed breaking news 15 minutes you've ever seen on this channel. And then we cut to fifth stimulus, was raise your benefits up. This was President Biden's promise to you, and it's now happening. And then we cut to the big money across the board, like Nisa, who got $23,000 for this channel, and the viewer who got $17,000 of rent in the last 48 hours. I have all that exciting details and more. And this is LALATE, America's only 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoons, 24 hours a day of programming. But a special programming announcement later in this video. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video. 2,000, 3,000 likes. Every like helps. And consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat and the pinned comment. Coming up next is Noontime live on air. And boy, let's get right to that monthly stimulus check with the pandemic issue at play. Delta is ravaging out of control, and this is now impacting how many checks you get from those Democrats. Senate versus House. Well, House provides in their bill a check monthly for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. Senate proposal, July to December monthly stimulus checks. So let's look at the House bill. $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. Senate amount monthly unknown, but word on the street the Senate would pay you this. Deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000. Or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. Well, this is really the big issue, is the pandemic plus 1 year language. 4 weeks ago, we thought the pandemic may be not over, and that the legislators would just give us 1 year of checks, which would be 12 months. Then 3 weeks ago, I said maybe the pandemic's not over because LA was voluntarily reversing the mask mandate. 2 weeks ago, we said the pandemic is definitely not over because the masks were put back on mandatory in LA. And suddenly, this last week, we realized the pandemic is 100% not over as it ravages out of control in 50 states, and it's all because of Delta. So the House bill would likely pay that monthly stimulus check, pandemic plus 1 year. That would be more than $13,000 and more than 12 checks, which is more than $13,000. So compare that to this and the Senate. I think you have an opinion. I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now and vote House or Senate on this morning's broadcast. House or Senate, House or Senate. Tell me where you're tuning in from. And how's this weather on this beautiful morning's broadcast? Who gets a fourth stimulus check? Democrats represent. You get the fourth stimulus check if you got a third one. Single individual, 75,000 or less. You get a fourth stimulus check. Democrats represent. Married couple, 150,000 or less. Democrats want to give you a fourth stimulus check. Double it. Family of four, Democrats represent. You're getting a fourth stimulus check, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, VA, RB, or multiple beneficiaries, you're getting a fourth stimulus check. Democrats represent. The fourth stimulus check is not income. It's not taxable. The fourth stimulus check will be the same amount for everyone, including adult dependents. And the fourth stimulus check is not a waivable check. It comes monthly. So if you do go to the beach today, don't fall for the trap I did. A week ago tomorrow, I was on the beach recording live, and one viewer said, "Hey, LA, is that check behind you? Is that the check?" I looked, I'm like, "Oh, it is the check." "Hey, check, what's going on? How you doing at the beach this beautiful Sunday?" And it's me, LA. Don't you recognize me? I mean, I'm not wearing purple right now. Rude check. Didn't even acknowledge me. How rude is that? The viewer said, "LA, it's not a rude check. It's just not a waivable check. I've seen your videos." There you go. I always hate when that happens. Fourth stimulus check would land on the month of July. Those Democrats have represented. And in the month of July, August, for the month of August. But in the second half of this video, you get the wonderful, great news. It's insanely great news. Checks, a lot of them. $3.5 trillion of checks are now confirmed coming to you in the fourth stimulus recon. I'll go over what some of those checks are. It's incredible great news. We have the confirmation they've agreed upon the price tag and they've agreed they're passing it. Now, I saw some of the comments overnight where people said, "I need that check to go buy the new car." I'm so sorry. There was never a check to buy a car in this whole equation. And someone said, "I need those checks to go buy that house." There was not a check to go buy a house in this equation. But there's $3.5 trillion of checks. So if you don't want those 3.5, I think we're going to start a new list. If you don't want these $3.5 trillion of checks, sort of mark your name off the list. We'll just take your 3.5 part of the checks. That's coming up in the second half of this video. I'll go over some of that incredible, delicious money that's all for you, including my seniors and also workers. Then, in the final 15 and the final 7, we go over the big money that's coming to you with 2 bills likely going to vote next week. 1 bill vote confirmed. Oh boy, it's getting exciting. And then rumors of 2 Plan B backups. Oh boy, wow. You're going to see a lot of information. It's a lot of breaking. I'm going to make it easy breezy for you because it's a lot of details in the final 15 minutes of this video. The preview, the second half of this video is fifth stimulus. You were promised this raise up of your benefits, including my veterans. It's happening. Congratulations. It's in the fall. I'll give you a preview of what's happening. And what happened this week about labor and also interest rates. Does it impact it? I'll analyze the financial data for you as well. But first, let's get some money. And if you saw the preview, you saw the teaser at the front of this video, one viewer sent me this beautiful DM on Instagram. She got $17,000 for rent. That is the second highest payout we've seen of rent on this channel in the last 30 days. Nisi, of course, got $20,000. John got $10,000 to $12,000 for SNAP, and Louis $18,000. Get a pen and paper ready. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go over that rent, utilities, mortgage, and homeowners utilities you can get as well. This is incredible. What's going on? A few weeks ago, I said I can get you $5,000 of rent. Now, viewers like Nisi are getting $20,000 of rent. I said I can get you $300 of utilities. Viewers are now getting $3,000 of utilities. And I said I can get you $5,000 to $6,000 of SNAP. Viewers are now getting $10,000 to $18,000 of SNAP. If you've gotten rent, post in the live chat right now. If you've gotten utilities, post in the live chat right now. If you've gotten SNAP, post in the live chat right now. What's going on? This is what this channel does. This channel and its community are about cashing checks, not about tracking checks. In April of last year, this channel launched, and people were not getting an EIDL loan grant or EIDL loan or grant check. So there was no check to track, but I got them, $25 million of EIDL loans of checks to cash. In fall of 2020, second stimulus checks are not coming because it was not law yet. So there's no check to track. But I got viewers $250,000 of checks to cash. Viewers like Tyrone, a family 4 out of Boston, got $15,000 for his family, paying for all that rent. And now we're doing it again. This is third stimulus, and there's a fortune of money for you to get. So get that pen and paper ready. I'm going to show you each place to reach out to. Each has different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next until you get the rest. And if it is a crayon, a crown instead of a pen, it's not muddled, because we don't muddle here. You ready? You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state hall, your state housing authority. Keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, rent assistance or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus or Mitch's fan club. Fan club? He has a fan club. They don't know that. They don't want to know that. Not that it exists. Yes, so there you go. That is the deliciousness. And congratulations to Tim and Linda, who got this big pot of money. And of course, that viewer who got $17,000 and Nisi $20,000. That's rent. If you got in rent, post in the live chat right now. Let's turn to some Snap. And if you got in Snap, post in the live chat right now. John got $10,000 to $12,000. Yes, congratulations, my friend. And then Louis, $18,000. Congratulations. What is Snap? Snap is money for food. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture. Eligibility is easier than a stimulus check. Why would you not get it? How much does it pay? A fortune. A family of 4 out of Hawaii now gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Wow, why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders. One from Biden, one from Trump, that raised your benefits up 15% between now and December. Len Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom, and Gail got it as well. And you are killing it. $15,000, $16,000 for Snap for 4 out of Hawaii, $5,000 for rent, but you're getting a lot more according to some of those viewers. And we're just only 12 minutes in this video where we got more money right now. It's the refund check coming back from your state due to computer error. Well, the federal government has ordered it returned back to you. Where's it landing? Direct deposit. Can you track it? Yeah, call up your state. Hey, say state, where's that check due to overpayment of computer error? And can you track it with a computer that actually works? And finally, the last wonderful pot of money is that money coming back from IRS, that refund check on the 2020 tax return. Margaret got it, Todd got it, Michael got it, but we have an update from IRS. The update is the following, that the latest round wave of checks went out, and it's an average of $1,265. Wow, wonderful news. Direct deposit started July 14th for this wave, and the paper check started July 16th. Another wave starts next week, and a new wave every week for the rest of summer. Wow, a lot of waving. So if you're at the beach and you see the IRS, no, we're not going to do that. So there you go. If you're in the live chat and you've got a rent, utilities, Snap, or any of these success stories, post them right now. Why? Because you're helping other viewers. 3 things that help them. 1, if there's 1,000 people in the live chat and we see 200 people posting the success stories, viewers then realize, I should go get this. They realize this is money available for me. Why am I not getting this $10,000, $20,000? This is my money. I'll go get it. Number 2, they see people like a Nisi or an Art Sullivan who got 3 items. Art Sullivan got 3 items and they realize, wait, I just got Snap. I should have gotten the other 2 items. I'm going to go get those other 2 items. It inspires them to go get all the items. Number 3, it gives us an update on the numbers. When we see people like Louis getting $18,000 for Snap, we're like, wait a second. Obviously, the numbers are big and bolder than we ever thought. So post those success stories. This money coming back for unemployment benefits, for unemployment taxes, is coming back from IRS. Let's say you had $9,000 of unemployment benefits. You paid $5,000 of total taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. You're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. When? This month. Can you track it? Yeah. Go to irs.gov and do a transcript search. 75% of the time it works. It'll reveal the tax return you filed and the taxes you paid. It'll also reveal stuff you never knew. Stuff that just sort of didn't want to know. Like when Mitch was appearing on Star Search in the spokesperson competition, did he have a Nancy Pelosi hairstyle? And there you go. Can we top that? No, we can't top that. That visual will just never leave my brain cell. I told you stuff you don't want to know. But we can't top that as we go into the second part of your 4 stimulus check recording starting right now. Deal done. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people under the 4 stimulus recon. The Democrats have agreed to pass it, and they've agreed upon the price tag. All they have to do still is vote on the actual bill, but they've agreed you're getting these checks, a lot of checks, all for you, $3.5 trillion of them. How did they do this? Because originally the recon before July 4th had roads and bridges in there. They pulled the Democrat caucus, even though Nancy and Chuck had asked their caucus, had thought they could pass it by July 4th. The Democrats said with the roads and bridges in there before, it was not passable. So they had to take the roads and bridges out, put the roads and bridges into the bipartisan, and it made the recon passable. We have that confirmation for conservative publications op-ed. In the publication, they said that the higher the price tag was on the recon earlier on, the harder it was to pass. Obviously, there's the confirmation. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from the recon, roads and bridges, and put in the bipartisan, their overall price tag of the recon got smaller, obviously. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable. Sorry, Mitch. Sorry to set you up. But Mitch doesn't really feel set up because the Republicans love the bipartisan. And here we go. Once they shrunk the recon by taking roads and bridges out, the progressives were able to put more money in, and they got the price tag they wanted. Yes, $3.5 trillion, a big and bold and beautiful number. And that confirms what they had wanted. It solidifies what they were asking for. Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat, Minnesota, progressive, said that we need a recon that goes as far as we want it. You got it, Elon. Congratulations, $3.5 trillion. Then Representative Richie Torres, Democrat, New York, progressive, says we have to have a larger recon. You got it, Richie. Congratulations, $3.5 trillion. And the progressives were meeting with the White House daily to ensure the recon went big enough. You got it. Congratulations, $3.5 trillion. How did they do this? By protecting the recon. The White House had told Jalopal and also Senator Brian Schatz, Democrat, Hawaii, to protect the recon. Because, quote, the White House considers the progressive priorities in the recon its own priorities. There you go. So what is a recon? How does it get voted on? How does it get passed? When do we see it? What's at issue here? And what are the other words for it? Let's start with the other words. In this channel, you'll see two words, recon referring to this, and bipartisan referring to the roads and bridges. That's easy for us, but the problem is the president and other mainstream media uses other terms, and you need to hear those in case you see them and you don't know which they are. Trust me, the first time I heard the other terms, I didn't know which one it was. So recon also stands for reconciliation. It's also called the budget bill. Yeah, that sounds so totally different. Recon is also called the budget bill. Recon, you recognize it by price tag. That's easier, $3.5 trillion, and people quote in the article about it, like a Bernie Sanders. Bipartisan is also called infrastructure. Oh boy, that's confusing. Bipartisan is also called infrastructure. That's roads and bridges. You recognize it by its price tag, $1.5 trillion, much less. And people quote in an article about the bipartisan are a Democrat like a Kristen Sinema or a Republican like Ron Portman, Mitt Romney. There you go. So what is a recon? A recon is a bill. We actually have a recon procedural and a recon substantive. I'll just go over the substantive one. The recon substantive bill is a bill written by Democrats for Democrats to be passed by Democrats. Who writes it? The House subcommittees write it with the Senate subcommittees helping them. Democrats with just Democrats. When they're done, let's say we have 10 subcommittees with 10 pages they wrote, they combine those 10 of 10 and send them up to Chuck. Chuck takes those 100 pages and puts a big bold S on it. Not for Schumer, for Senate. That's your recon Senate bill. At that point, you see it. Here's what you need to know. Under the Constitution, up to that point, you're not required to be shown anything. So the subcommittee members don't have a requirement to tell you what they voted on or voted against, or what they included or what they took out, what they wrote in and what they wrote out. And that's why it's important, because across the line, we're going to be waiting to see that final recon. And mainstream media and myself agree upon the following. We have not been shown the recon, and we don't have it. As a pop singer would do, they would not show you all the songs on their album until they release their album. They don't want you to see all the tracks. It's part of the element of surprise for the Democrats. They want to surprise you with the details. So that's where we are with that. It's important to understand that if you do see someone that says, I haven't heard in the recon that, you stop and say, you haven't heard because no one's released the bill. There you go. Later in this video, I'll go over the fact that even when you see the bill with the S, it can get modified thereafter. That's very important. It's at the very end of this video. How do we get to this wonderful spot from Jalopal, who had written a letter to Schumer saying, Chuck all the vote. That letter to Schumer was signed by 12 House Democrats, part of the 100, yes, that had written to the president a letter saying, we're going to demand monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package. Wow. Can we top that? Yes. As 7 members of that House Ways and Means subcommittee, the one we just went over, yep, the same subcommittee, wrote the president a letter saying, we're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package. Wow, that's a big promise. Yep, you got to hold them to the promise. They also wrote your third stimulus check, and they also represent that right in your fifth stimulus check. Wow. Can we top that news? We can. Biden did it. 5 weeks ago today, the president was overseas signing a ceremonial signature. It was for a tax rule. Well, that tax rule was not formally signed until this week. And what was it for? A tongue twister. The global minimum corporate tax rate minimum. Oh my goodness, is that a tongue twister? Yeah, it is. And why is this great news for the fourth stimulus recon? It's great news because it's easier to write the fourth stimulus recon because they're confusing things not in there. Let's go over the details. First, it's easier to write the fourth stimulus recon because that confusing thing's not in there. Easier to call the vote on the recon because that confusing thing's not there. Easier to vote on the recon because that confusing thing's not in there. And easier to pass the fourth stimulus recon because that confusing thing's not in there. Boy, can we top that? We can. As we go into the final 15 of the final 7 of this recording. The final 15 minutes of this video will be absolutely jam-packed with breaking news. So sit back because in those 15 minutes, I'm going to cover a lot of details and a lot of twists and turns. It's going to go over the next 7 days, which are potentially the final 7 days of the fourth stimulus battleground. A lot of things are going to change in a very short period of time. So I want you to be ready for them. And so sit back. That's coming up in a second. Also, fifth stimulus was raise your benefits up a lifetime, but something also wonderful, the volunteers. If you try to find that rent, utilities, internet, and SNAP and cannot find it, don't worry. I have your back and the volunteers have your back. They're viewers just like you. They're salt of the earth. They step forward to help you find that delicious money if you can't find it as well. How do you find them? Open the description of this video. Go into the description and look for a link to the community page. That's news.la.com/community. The community page is at news.la.com/community. You'll see the volunteers separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Reach out to them and they'll get that delicious money for you for rent, utilities, and internet. And I'll be back in 60 seconds with you with the big second part of your fifth stimulus and the final 15 of the final 7 in just 60 seconds. See you then. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. The toast is toasting, the toast is toasting, the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here, and it's a big, bold, beautiful morning of Mornings LA. Thank you for the nice comments in the commercial break about the flowers. Yeah, they are loving the sun. So far, they're doing great. Some new additions in there and some old favorites as well. Maybe if I have time, I'll try to cover them in later this video. Coming up in the second half of this video is fifth stimulus and also fourth stimulus, the final 15 of the final 7. Boy, a lot of breaking news. Also, but first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button. Also, like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes. And also consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the channel, pinned comment. Coming up next is Noontime, live on air, a new show today. Then Afternoons LA, 2 shows. The new show is at 3 o'clock. The rerun is at 1. And then a new Evenings LA tonight at 5 o'clock. Boy, a lot of programming, and also a programming announcement coming up later in this video. There's a lot still coming up. Let's cut to the exciting details of what is happening with the president and this fifth stimulus. He was unable to deliver on his promise to change the SSI and SSDI reform. So what have Democrats done? They're taking care of it. Based upon the president's promises to you, they will be doing this fifth stimulus reform that will do the following: raise your benefit limits up, add an inflationary benchmark, remove the asset limit, remove the income exclusion, and remove the marriage penalty. This is fifth stimulus. Starts in legislative drafting in September, going to your bank account about October, November, and then a lift of your benefits again with the benchmark in December. First, let's go over who this is for. You. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA, or multiple beneficiaries. Then they'll apply a new benchmark in December. That new benchmark is inflation. How high is inflation going? It's going high. Jay Powell, your head of the Federal Reserve, testified on Capitol Hill last week and the month before and said the same thing. It's going to be transitory. Transitory is a fancy word for temporary, referring to a temporary spike that'll happen in December. Yes, that is right when they apply your benchmark. Oh boy, how high is inflation going to go? I've been saying, and Wall Street's now confirming, 5% is what we're looking at. Yes, that's perfect, because this is how it's going to work. First, they'll raise your benefits up one big time. Then they'll apply the benchmark. Let's say it's 5%. Your benefits will step up another 5%, not just next year, a lifetime. Yes, because once your benefits step up, they never step down. Then they're going to move the asset cap dating back to a 1960s law, 80s law. This says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. Now you have room to have some stimulus checks and some muddled. No, we don't muddle here. We're going to remove the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. You no longer fear loss of benefits or be penalized by the marriage penalty. And there you go. That's fifth stimulus. Well, if you're in the live chat and you notice people who have an emoji next to their name of a purple hawk, and you don't have one, you want to get one, how do you get it? Go into the description of this video or go under the video where it says join here. By becoming a member, you're delivered all the big money that's available for you under third stimulus. When second stimulus passed and there was a $600 stimulus check, I said, I won't get you $600, I'll get you $6,000. I got Tyrone $15,000. When third stimulus passed, and I said there was a $1,400 stimulus check, I said, I'll get you not $1,400, I'll get you $14,000. I'm now getting viewers upwards of $23,000. So consider becoming a member, because under the third stimulus, there's a fortune for you to get. I deliver daily to members of this channel a breakdown via the community page to members of what is in third stimulus for you to get. It's mostly application-based, and trust me, once fourth stimulus is passed, I'll be ensuring you get this $3.5 trillion of checks as well. And let's cut to the final 15 of the final 7 starting right now. Potentially the final 7 days left of the fourth stimulus battleground, because it looks like they're at the finish line. And the final 15 minutes of this video will be jam-packed. I'll try to make it as easy for you because it is complicated. Well, here we go. First deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people. Done. Under the fourth stimulus recon. This is a lot of money. First, the excitement of the fact that the deal is done, and second, the fact that of the price tag. First, the deal. The Democratic senators have met and have agreed to pass the fourth stimulus recon and pass it at a $3.5 trillion price tag. This is huge because, as Tim Kaine, senator, says, all they have to do is just sort of slot the monies into the different programs. Number two, it's huge because of the price tag. Bernie Sanders went into the meeting asking for $7 trillion. He got 3.5. Why was he ecstatic? Because he says the same programs, just paid for less amount of time. Obviously, 3.5 is exactly half the amount of time as 7. Then, what are these checks? Well, there'll be an absolute fortunes of checks under fourth stimulus recon. So there's no time and place for anyone to say, do you really think we're getting checks? I've said it about 5,000 times already in this video. There's $3.5 trillion of checks coming to you on forced stimulus recon. But as I joked earlier in this video, there's no check coming for you to go buy a new Rolls Royce. There's no check for you to go buy a brand new $500 purse, but they're checks for things that are stimulus. This is not the luxury shopping network. So I always have someone who wants to like buy things with stuff that are covered on this channel. No, this is stimulus. So let's go over some of these checks. These are some of the checks, not all of the checks. And we're going to see more of them in a second. So free school meals for all, checks. Checks for tax breaks. Checks for cheaper prescription medication. Checks for immigration reform. Checks for greener farming. Checks for elections. Checks for free internet. They're going to give fortunes to the local cities so they can run their own internet companies and offer it for free to you. Clean energy checks. And then here come my checks for my seniors and my checks for my workers. First, my workers. Checks for workers, checks for unions, checks for collective bargaining, checks for independent contractors, and then checks for seniors, checks for lower eligibility age, checks for dental, checks for vision, and checks for hearing. Wow, that's wonderful news. Let's go over to talk about now bipartisan. 2 weeks ago, Mitt Romney, Republican, senator, covered on this channel for over a year, came out and said, I think that maybe the bipartisan, the infrastructure will be called for a vote and be finalized this last week. I say I don't think it's going to get done that week. I think it's this coming week. Mainstream media agreed with me. Well, what happened this week? Chuck Schumer had a vote on that bipartisan infrastructure, roads and bridges. And what was that vote on? Not the bill, but to end discussion. It was a vote to end discussion and negotiation on the bipartisan. I said it was going to fail. It did fail, but it did incredible great news across the board. Why? Because at the same time of the vote, what happened? Ron Portman, Republican senator, delivered a letter to Chuck Schumer by 11 Senate Republicans. Yes, 11 Senate Republicans saying they're calling the vote on the bipartisan roads and bridges this coming week. Yes. Oh my goodness. Ron Portman represents that the vote on the bipartisan will be this week, and he has the signatures of 11 Republicans saying they're ready to pass it. Oh my goodness, deal. They say the bipartisan is done and ready for a vote. My goodness, this is huge for us. You know why, if you've been with this channel for at least the last few weeks, because the Democrats have to call a vote on the recon before the bipartisan. Nancy and Chuck have confirmed that they're calling the vote on the recon for the bipartisan. So this is huge, great news. Because once the bipartisan is ready for a vote, then the recon goes for a vote. Wow. Great news. Now, how do I view the situation? Well, this is how I view the situation. I have Ron Portman on one side, I have Mitt Romney on the other side. Both are Republicans, both are senators. Mitt Romney, through all of 2020, when he said something, it gets done. When he says a date, it happens on that date. When he writes something, he writes it. He's always been exactly what he said. I've done a lot of videos where I detail the Toomey implosion, potentially at the end of second stimulus, where he was about to blow up everything Toomey, and Mitt Romney came in and solved it in less than a few hours, and we got our money. Ron Portman, I've also detailed extensively on this channel. He's the guy who in May, April, June of last year, when the pandemic was at its worst state, and you were losing your home, your business, and your car, and your livelihood, he said, get back to work, you're lazy, and I'm going to cut off your unemployment benefits. Yeah, that's Ron Portman. So engaging who to base my belief on, would I put more belief in a comment coming out of a Mitt Romney than a Ron Portman? Absolutely. But by all accounts, Mitt Romney agrees. But for now, I'm tracking Mitt Romney. Now, let's go to the surprising details of a Plan B from the Democrats. Two very different publications, talk about a potential Plan B for the Democrats. The first publication is very conservative, runs a lot of anti-Biden articles. The second publication is mainstream media, just middle of the road, not politically slanted. Both articles start with the same premise, so they're very similar in how they start, but they end by describing the Plan B very differently among them. Which one do I believe? More about that in a second. First, let's go over this conservative publication. It starts with the same premise as the second one, which is Democrats are attentive and focused on the Republicans potentially running out the clock. They cite instances over the last 20 years where Republicans were saying they were going to get something done. I got it done. It'll be done. It'll be done tomorrow. Then the day after. Then the day after. Are we running out of time yet? Oh, sorry. We just ran out of time. Where the Democrats were waiting for the Republicans to do something, and all the Republicans did was run out the clock, and the Democrats were left with nothing. So both articles say that the Democrats are attentive to this and are watching Portman because they think that he may be trying to run the clock out. Well, that's how the two articles both start. The conservative publication then ends differently than the mainstream media. The conservative publication says that the Democrats have a plan B set up. Okay, what is the plan B according to the conservative publication? Drum roll. To put roads and bridges back into the recon. What? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Because we were just like 3 weeks ago where the Democrats said we're not going to vote in favor of the recon with the roads and bridges in there. Remember my hand gesture earlier in this video where it was this big? Remember when they said they wouldn't pass it before July 4th because roads and bridges in there? I don't buy it. I don't buy that they're going to take the $3.5 trillion price tag, which they've agreed to, and blow it out and put roads and bridges in there and get that passed. No, I don't think that's accurate reporting. All right, let's go to the mainstream media. What they say is the plan B. Well, they say that the Democrats are attentive to the Republicans potentially running out the clock, and that Chuck Schumer had a secret meeting this last week. What was the secret meeting? The secret meeting allegedly was with all his Senate Democrats. And the alleged outcome was that, very different than less than 4 weeks ago, all Democrats, including the most problematic Democrats, you know which ones I'm referring to, said that they cannot wait around any longer for the bipartisan and will call the vote for the recon and will go ahead with the recon even if the bipartisan is not ready. Yes, this is incredible, great news. Of which of the two articles do I believe? The second one. I understand it's very different than what the Democrats were saying a few weeks ago, that you had to have the bipartisan ready to call the vote on the recon. But apparently even the most problematic Democrats have had their wits' end with the bipartisan group not getting things done. And now at this point they say, hey, we gave them the opportunity. It's time to call the vote on the recon. Yes, really incredible, great news. All right, let's cut to then what you need to know about the day in which the bill is debuted with an S on it. When you see that recon debuted by Chuck Schumer with an S on it, not for Schumer, for Senate, it's important for you to know the following, that the bill is far from over. We have an emoji, not bill yet. At that point, you'll have a bill, but we also have another emoji, not law yet. House Democrats on Friday said they're going to modify stuff. They actually said, we're not cheap dates. We will modify stuff. Why is someone modifying it if they were involved in the writing? Because they weren't involved with the writing. Let me explain something which I haven't explained. Subcommittee members are not the same as the people on the floor of the Senate, or the floor of the House. So a subcommittee may have 7 members of the House, and the House has several hundred Democrats in there. They have not had their ability to make modifications of something. Just 7 subcommittee members are the only ones. So when it gets to a floor of the House, the floor of the Senate, they want to make modifications. And guess what? They told us on Friday they're making modifications. So what you need to know is that when that bill is debuted, that reconciliation, with that S on it on the Senate side, it's not etched in stone. It's not a finality. So if something is great, it's not done yet. If something is not great, it's not done yet. If something's not in there, something is in there. Something needs to be added, it's not done yet. Senate, then it'll go to the House, then it'll go back to the Senate, potentially for a 2-day vote-a-rama, and then to the President. And the House saying that they're already going to make modifications, there you go. You have to be ready for it. And also be ready for the new expanded programming schedule on this channel. In the last few days, this channel tried out expanding programming so that you would see a new show every hour or every 2 hours, adding a new throwback afternoons LALATE or replay Afternoons LA at 1 o'clock p.m. before our normal Afternoons LA, which is a new show daily at 3 o'clock. You have been loving it. So in the month of August, get ready for the new expanded LA. They'll be programming virtually every hour to every 2 hours on this channel. So they'll have an opportunity for you to jump in the live chat, interact with your Purple Power friends, and learn a lot of financial information. Currently, there's a big break between early mornings LA at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and mornings LA at 9 a.m. That's among the places where new shows will be. Also, Sirloin is returning back from the Olympics, and he will have a new set of programming coming to you in the month of August. So get ready for it. He's been eating away, and he just says the grass is delicious out there. So join me next on Noontime. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube record. I want you part of this channel. Hit that subscribe button. Like this video. 3,000 likes. I want you part of this channel. Every like helps. Don't forget to like the video. Also, consider becoming a member so you learn about all this big money that's available for you under third stimulus, fourth, and fifth. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful morning. I'll see you next on Noontime at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, live from Santa Monica.